Hey there, so as with every convention nowadays, when I was compiling the list of games that I'm most anticipating, the place that I start is Tabletop Together. It's absolutely fantastic tool. I'll put a link in the description, go check it out. It'll just help you sort out where you need to go when you're at the convention, etc. So this is a top 10 list, but it's not actually a rated list. I'm going to be doing it mostly alphabetical. There's one exception, and that is Orbis. Now, the reason I'm talking about Orbis separately is I have actually played this game, or at least I played a prototype of it, and also it's already out. And the others aren't actually out yet. This is a very interesting game, and what you're doing is you're a god building your world, and you're all competing, taking chunks of world to make your own little world. But when you're doing this, it displaces the people there, and yeah, it's just a really interesting kind of building mechanism, tableau building, engine building, with also kind of the resource management of the people and the workers. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, really looking forward to it. It is actually out now. It came out just this last week, I think. So next we're going into the alphabetical part of the list. We're going to start with Architects of the West Kingdom. Now this kind of interests me most. I quite like worker placement, and this is a worker placement game. Looking at the board, it looks really similar to Raiders of the North Sea, I think it is. Yeah, something like that. Which is a really nice, interesting game itself, with an interesting difference in the way that the worker placement works, that you get putting it on action and taking it off action. Now, what's interesting about this one's worker placement is that the way it's happening is you never retrieve your workers, ever, in the entire game. But you've got a large pool of workers, and so each turn you're putting workers out, and the more workers you have in a location, so the more you're using a specific location, the more effective it becomes for you, the more it gains you. But then obviously you're less diversified elsewhere to the other various actions that you might need to take. And this is all kind of building up a city. You're working to build up your own city type thing. And that seems to be a theme of Essen. It seems to be a very common theme, or mechanic if you will, that's showing in the games for this year's Essen, and especially in the games that I've chosen. You'll see there's so many that are city building games. So next we have Azul, Stained Glass of Sintra. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, it doesn't really matter. What does matter is that this is the spiritual successor to Azul, which has been hugely popular. I'm not a huge abstract game fan, but my wife is even less of an abstract game fan, and she liked Azul. We've not actually got around to getting it, but we did really enjoy it. So we might actually end up getting this, because it looks to have a lot of similar things going on with the take some, leave a few, and the kind of risk of getting too much causing you negative points, etc. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it does differ from Azul and how good it will be. Next we have Dice Settlers. So this was a Kickstarter, very successful, very well anticipated. I didn't back it. It looks really interesting, really kind of different. You've got this exploration, you've got civilization building. You've got dice kind of pool building going on. Really looking forward to it. Nice fantasy theme, and yeah, so that should hopefully be good. What else we got? Fertility. Now this is one people may or may not be kind of used to. It's kind of an ancient Egypt theme. What interests me with this is you get those kind of tile placement games, or kind of your city building. Again, this has got kind of a city building element to it, or tile placement. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because often you have your own area that you're placing them in. But this, you have your own board where you're placing stuff, but you also have a central board where you're all kind of placing tiles and covering things up, etc. So I'm really interested in seeing how that works. Yeah, so that should be good. Gnomeopolis. Now, this is another city building with a fantasy theme, gnomes, unsurprisingly, given the name. And what interests me here most is that you have a kind of, again, it's a worker placement as well, actually. Worker placement, city building, so common. What interests me with this is you've got kind of that bag building, although it's in a cup, so kind of, I guess, like the dice in Roll for the Galaxy, where you're putting them into a cup and then you're pulling them out. But what I find interesting about the worker placement element of this is a lot of worker placement games, it's about get all the workers you can type thing, so that you can do as many actions as you can. This seems to have penalties for having too many workers, so I'm interested to see kind of how that factors into all the set collection and everything else that's going on in that game. Next we have Hunger. Now, I really don't have a lot of information on the mechanics of this. The artwork looks lovely, cute, family friendly. It's from Haber. It's in their kind of family game levels, so not their kids range. Their level up where like Karuba is, and they've done some fantastic games in that range. So that's really why I'm excited about this. It's just kind of seeing how that's going to work. I quite like the prehistoric theme, and I've seen that there are these kind of mammoth minis, not minis, meeples, mammoth meeples, mammals, whatever. So yeah, it looks great artwork, great components. Look forward to seeing more about it. Next, we have a game I'm gonna, not really too sure I'm gonna pronounce right. Scarabia? Scarabia? Anyway, it's coming from Blue Orange. What's kind of got me interested about this, I was just talking about Haber and I mentioned Karuba, and you've got in that this kind of bingo draw mechanism where everyone is got the same information, but what they're choosing to do with that, what tile, where they're choosing to place the tile, is where things vary. And this has the same thing. But what's different about this is it's got those kind of, I don't know if it's polyominoes or whatever, weirdly shaped Tetris-y style pieces that you get. You know, the games like Barren Park, Patchwork, etc., where you're placing out your pieces, kind of building your tableau. It's got that going on, but with the fact that you're all placing the same piece, and I think that's really interesting. So that has me actually really quite excited, because I kind of like that you all had the same opportunity. You know, luck had nothing to do with it. No one was going to be luckier or less lucky than anyone else. Perfect information going on. Yeah, I'm really interested in that. And it kind of helps that it's got a bit of a pasted on kind of exploration fantasy theme. Yeah. Next we have Skylands. So this is from Queen Games, and again it's another tile placement-y type game. Not that I have, you know, kind of favourite themes and mechanisms. Surprisingly, no deck builders. There was no deck builders jumping out to me, and deck building is one of my most favourite themes, mechanics. So strange. Again, this has this lovely fantasy theme where you're building these flying islands, and so yeah, it's again, it's kind of tile placement going on mixed with worker placement. So you've got like that Barony Park kind of, well, no, it's not like really Barony Park, it's, I'm trying to think, more like Carcassonne kind of placement of tiles. Like the way the tiles are, they've got kind of terrain on them, and you're matching up the terrain to build your islands, and then you're also placing workers on those islands. So yeah, I mean, this looks great art, great theme, great components, really excited for it. And then that leaves finally The River. I am a huge Days of Wonder fan. I like so many of their games. I think they do such a great job with them. So, you know, pretty much, it's Days of Wonder, I'm interested. But beyond that, it does actually look like a really nice, yet again, worker placement game, and with an exploration element thrown in as well. So that's, you know, there's all these games that have made my list are all so similar this year. Really kind of weirdly. Normally it's theme. This year it seems to be mechanics, like you get your Vikings year or whatever. But yeah, again, this is worker placement and tile laying. So yeah, a lot of these seem quite similar. So it's just kind of who will do it best. And I'll be finding out in less than a week's time at Essen. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, do check out the rest of the videos, do subscribe and all that. And please do let me know in the comments what you're most looking forward to in Essen and what you think about what I've said about these games. Maybe I've got stuff completely wrong, maybe I've overlooked something. Please do let me know. And as always, thanks for watching and bye for now.